I'm at the annual meeting of the North American Menopause Society, and I'm speaking with.
Yep. I'm Dr. Michael McClung from the Oregon Osteoporosis Center in Portland, Oregon.
Awesome. And you were heading a whole session today that was on loss of bone in women in menopause. And I wonder if you could say, how would a woman know that she was at risk for losing bone?
Well, first, all women after menopause are at risk for losing bone. And with the estrogen deficiency, there's an interval of rapid bone loss that lasts for several years. Mm-hmm. and all women are subjected to that. And then as both men and women age, bone loss is a part of the aging process. So one can't feel that they're losing bone, but it happens in all of us.
So it's a silent problem. And how would they test it? What would they do to find out if that was the case?
So there are 2-3 ways that women can know whether they're at risk or have osteoporosis. The gold standard way is to obtain a bone density test, mm-hmm. and we can measure the bone mineral content in the spine and in the hip, and we know what osteoporosis is. But for women who have a fracture of their forearm, a fracture of their ankle, certainly a fracture of the spine or hip, they should be evaluated. That would be a signal that they've had a bone attack that needs to be evaluated. And there are other risk factors, simply being older. So osteoporosis is much more likely in women over the age of 65 than it is in 50-year-old women. Those who are thin and those who have a family history of hip fracture or osteoporosis. So
smokers, would that be another
smoking
group?
Is a modest risk factor. Women who drink heavily, but the big 3 risk factors are having had a fracture, mm-hmm. being older, and having low bone density.
And if you think that that's the case and you're not 65, what age would you tell people they ought to consider getting a bone density or some other indicator?
Sure. So the indications for bone density are women age 65 or younger postmenopausal women who are thin, have had a fracture, or have a family history, or have some other disease that could alter or damage bone health. So at the time of menopause, mm-hmm. for women who've had a prior fracture or who have a strong family history would be the time to have the bone density test done.
So it could be a certain medications like steroids or other medicines.
Okay, steroids, it's a long list. Being sick is a risk factor for bone loss from almost any cause. So women who are healthy are easier to understand, and their age, bone density, and prior fracture history and family history are the big ones that we think about.
Any other tips for women as they enter menopause to consider protecting their bones?
Well, all the general measures that women hear about all the time are always important. Enough calcium, enough vitamin D, being physically active, avoiding lifestyle factors like smoking that can adversely affect bone health. What's really important to appreciate, though, is that those general approaches, are not effective in preventing bone loss from happening. The bone loss that happens at menopause is related to estrogen deficiency.
Uh-huh.
And that interval of rapid bone loss lasts on average 5 or 6 years in individual women. Mm-hmm. So by the time women are 65, for example, the rapid bone loss is almost never occurring in otherwise healthy women. And the lifestyle factors are effective in older women in markedly slowing bone loss. But those lifestyle factors have a much smaller impact on bone density during the rapid years, the years of rapid bone loss immediately after menopause.
That's a time when maybe hormones might be helpful.
For women who come to menopause with a strong family history, who are found to have low bone density, doing something at the time of menopause when they're about to experience rapid bone loss is an opportunity that should not be passed over.
Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.